Welcome to the Research Culture Uncovered podcast, where in every episode we explore what is research culture and what should it be. You'll hear thoughts and opinions from a range of contributors to help you change research culture into what you want it to be.
So I'm Tony Bromley and welcome to the Research Culture Uncovered podcast. This is season 2, and in season 2 we're talking to presenters from the Researcher Education Development Scholarship Conference of 2022. The conference theme was how do we stop losing talent in research careers? And I'm delighted today we have the conference keynote presenter, so Professor Louise Owusu-Kwarteng from University of Greenwich. Hello to you. How are you feeling today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I'm much happier than I was this morning. You know, sometimes when it's just like, clutter, but it's about clearing clutter. So it's all good. It's all good. Yeah.
Excellent. We talked a little bit beforehand about having a little icebreaker where we mentioned something about each other. You mentioned bass guitar playing and Nottingham Forest. Do you want to forget Nottingham Forest for a moment at second in the Premier League? Second bottom, sorry, not second. Yeah. How about the bass guitar playing?
So I'm not the best at playing it. I mean, what it is that I'll pick up tunes really, really quickly. I can't read music, I learn it by ear. But my thing is because I don't practice, so I'm not as good as I could be. Do you know what I mean? It's just
absolutely.
And then I play it a few times, and also because of time. But I think I could be a lot. I'm not going to lie. I think I could be a lot better. I've got some tunes down pat, but I need to be better. I need to be much better. Forest, I mean, it's okay. I can take it because sometimes where we start isn't always where we're going to end up. So, I was very, very, very pleased the day that they got promoted. It was the day before my birthday, which was just fantastic.
Excellent.
But, we just need to win a few more matches.
I think there's probably some metaphors in what we've just described about practice and keep trying and all these sort of things. Let me come to the main content of what we were going to talk to you about today. The keynote presentation, your title was Our Expertise is Going to Waste, Reflections on Disengagement of Women and Students from Marginalised Groups in Research Activity. Now, in the abstract for the presentation itself, you did pose a couple of questions, and that's what I wanted to focus on if we could. And of course, they're not small questions, as it were. So one of the first questions that you posed was, how do we redress the balance to ensure that there is equality in terms of opportunities for research? So where, I kind of saw there's a broad thought, where would I start? So where do we start with that question, do you think?
Okay, so I think one of the things is, first of all, looking at what it is that people do. So, I mean, when I talk about marginalized groups in this context, I'm thinking of women, people who identify as women, and also people from minority ethnic groups. And when you look at the research, a lot of it tends to show that, these people, us, because, that includes me as well. What we end up tending to do is we end up doing a lot of kind of like pastoral care, which, I think this is what we're very, very good at. But the thing is, because we are doing so much of that, this means that we're maybe not doing as much as the other things that we need to do in order to progress through the academic system, if that's what we want to do. All right. So, I'm just thinking, for example, in terms of personal tutoring, I know in my own experience, I remember at one point having like 71 person, which was more than a lot of people. And, I was trying to balance it with lots of other things that I was doing.
So you were tutoring 71 people at the same time?
Yeah.
Right.
It was a lot. And the thing is, I didn't mind it. I'm always happy to give support to the students, but it was a lot. And, what tended to happen was, the students tended to gravitate towards me. And I noticed this happened with a lot of other females as well, because we'll give them the time. So I think what needs to be done is we need to probably have a little bit of a mapping thing to have a look at what people's workloads are. I know they say that they do it, but something is going wrong somewhere. look at all the things that are being done, and then just see where the breakdown is. Are people being given enough time to do the research? And if not, how do we redress that? Okay, so that's what I would do, to be honest. That's yes. How I would kind of do it. If we're talking about sort of like Black and minority ethnic or other marginalized groups, I think this even starts before they get into academia, because when they're at school, for example, a lot of people are told, like if you belong to a marginalized group, chances are it's going to be that you might be told, oh, not to go to university, or like higher education isn't for you, or for whatever reasons. And this is because of low expectations. People might make it there, but then sometimes if these experiences are rehashed in the education system, you're not seeing anyone that looks like you, that might be a mentor in order to help you to progress and everything. This can have a knock-on effect as well. This can influence decisions. People might think, well, it's not worth it, and then just decide that, okay, well, once I finish my degree, I'm not continuing in academia, and I'm not going on to do any more research. So again, I think we need to reframe the narrative and reframe what we're telling our students, how we're supporting them in terms of kind of through their degree and potentially becoming academics. I'm not saying that everybody should become an academic, but this is a route. So how do we get them there? So that's my thoughts.
Well, I was intrigued, just something you said about changing narratives. And somebody just pointed out to me something about using a phrase such as difficult to reach groups, because that once they started talking about it, I can understand that actually is a loaded statement in itself, because that seems to imply that the group is making itself difficult to reach. So there must be, I guess there's a number of things like that, which even changing day-to-day language would make a difference.
Yeah, because I remember, so before I came into academia, I used to work like in local government and sort of like within the community, and that was the terminology that was being used. And I can tell you that these people were not hard to reach. They weren't hard to reach. People were there, but it's how we engage with them. That I think that's all. And it'll be the same thing in academia, because again, sort of like labeling people hard to reach, as you said, it's almost like you're putting the blame on them for not engaging. But sometimes it's not that. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that at all. People want to be engaged, but like if people, like if they're sort of being given a negative narrative, or they're buying, or tutors or whoever's buying from sort of like societal narratives about these groups, and then just having these low expectations of them, then of course, like people, they're just going to want to distance themselves. But I think I think labeling people as hard to reach, I don't think that's the one, to be honest.
Well, it suggests for me that, in a sense, there's a laziness there, that actually you are the one that's hard to reach. So I don't need to modify my behavior. It's you that's hard to reach. Just moving on to the second question you posed in your abstract, which I was just a really interesting question for me to think about. You said, do we need to relook at what counts as an expert in higher education? So do we indeed need to relook at this?
Yeah, because I think, well, first of all, because I teach a module, and it's called Education and Social Formation, and we were kind of looking at what constitutes not correct knowledge, but like acceptable knowledge, right? So when you think about it, you think about the fact that, like, for example, there's lots of different levels here. So subjects areas, like things like STEM, okay, social sciences and humanities, not regarded as much. So there's that aspect of it. But then also, even when we're talking within sort of like social sciences, etc., like there are certain areas, there's some really like specific areas of expertise that, like that might not be considered as valid or valuable. Or like, for example, if people do a lot of work around pastoral care, as I've said before, you do tend to find certain groups doing that. Why, if they like doing that, Why is it that, this can't be turned as a form of, this can't be valued as a form of kind of like past, as a form of expertise? Why can't it be valued a lot more? Because I don't feel like it's valued enough. Do you know what I mean? It's seen as something that is expected, but then it's also not seen as something that is valued enough. So I think that, people are very, very good at this particular area. Why not help them to sort of like, develop their expertise and then use that as a framework for expertise so that it's teaching other people? Because I mean, I know that, for example, in our university, one of the things that our vice chancellor is very, very keen to do is to, obviously it's about making educational experience very, very positive for students and trying to make them understand, give them that sense of belonging, give them that sense of home and stuff like that. But that sense of belonging is created by the support that is being given to the students. So like, how do people with that level of expertise use that to make policies and, to use that in their research or use that in any other way to make things better? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. There was I can't remember the full details of it, but I think there was an article recently in the media that they described. It was in business context, I think, but they said people doing business housework. So, and also that women were more likely to be the ones doing the business housework, as it were, and it wasn't valued in the same way. And it's that sort, I think, kind of sort of metaphor that you're talking about, and why we don't value it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm also sorry to.
No, it's okay. No, carry on.
Reminded of I think it was Sylvia Walby. I mean, this is like back in the day. She was a Marxist feminist. I remember looking at her when I was a sociology student, and she was saying how, when you actually look at the work that women do, not just in the home, but like, it's largely in the private sphere, but, in a way it can be applied to the public sphere as well. It's not valued enough. And if we were to start getting paid for the work that we do in those areas, I mean, I guess we could be really, really rich. So, I just think that, okay, it should be valued more. It should be valued more financially, but then it should be just valued more in terms of like, expertise. And I think that's going to take a very, very long time before anyone recognizes how important it is. But it is important. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one of the themes again in the PhD at the moment is this notion of hidden curriculum, which colleagues have written about, Kay Guccione and colleagues, for example. So, and I think that may also be a similar type metaphor. There's hidden, well, it's not hidden because when you're tutoring that many people, as you said, 72, whatever it was, it's not hidden from you, but it's hidden from expertise or what we value as expertise.
Yeah. I mean, it's not only is it not hidden from me, but because it's done and because you're doing it. I'm not saying that it's hidden from others, but it's almost, again, it's not always talked about. I mean, this isn't just in relation to my own experience, but like, it's just not talked about anywhere. Do you see what I mean? So I think, so it is. And also, going back to the fact that there needs to be more value. I mean, I think about the emotional labor that it's costing, and it's not always sort of recognized. There's a whole load of, Arlie Hochschild, she writes a lot about emotional labor, and I think it can be applied in lots and lots of contexts, including in academia.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just moving on to actually the third question that we had. I think we've started to touch on, so just be interested to see if there's anything further you wanted to add. So as well as looking at what counts as expertise, you also said we should reconsider what is seen as valuable work in this context. So we kind of touched on that a little bit. Was there anything you want to add on what is seen as valuable work?
Yeah. Do you know what? I mean, I think there's a wider question here or a wider issue, because like, you think about the fact that the education system, not just universities, it's becoming marketized, right?
Yes.
No, it's not becoming, it is marketized, right? So, you've got these league tables and everything, which is creating lots of issues, but, like it or not, it's there. So I think that in order to be able to, if it's there and it's something that we've got to work with. So, if you want to move up and stuff. I mean, and you'll see you have lots of staff who are providing that kind of emotional work and in supporting your students and all this and the other. This is why I think it needs to be valued more, because these things really contribute to the movement, should I say, movement upwards in the tables, because sometimes you see some institutions which unfortunately may be known for the way that they deal with their students and everything, and you see them not doing so well in these particular areas, their overall student experience, you see them not doing so well in those particular areas. So this is why I think, it needs to be valued a bit more than it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess this is the DORA work as well, in terms of how you evaluate research environments and our education in general, to shift it away from we've had many years of numbers counting, haven't we, for how many papers, how much money, that sort of thing.
I mean, and I think the thing is as well, sometimes it's not good for people to be, because I mean, first of all, people need the time to be able to do these papers, but then on the other hand, you don't want to be churning out a load of papers that aren't of any good quality, because that's kind of soul destroying. It's probably better to have time to write a few really good ones and things that your expertise in, and something that you can develop and whatnot, than to be churning loads and loads and loads of rubbish.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just conscious I think I said that we'd speak for about 20 minutes or so, and I think we're nearly there. So I just wanted to pull things together, and just by way of summary, you've mentioned a number of things as we've gone through. For our listeners, is there one or two particular things that you'd like people to remember or take forward with them? We've talked about how to redress the balance inequality. I mean, are there one or two things even any one of us can be doing on a day-to-day basis, or think about things that would make collectively some sort of difference? I just over to you in terms of what messages could we take forward?
Okay, so in relation to the students and stuff, I mean, first of all, I think we all need to look at our biases and stuff. I mean, and remember that sometimes the way that people think about students is shaped by the way that society tell you about those particular groups. And I think we need to shift that narrative and be encouraging towards them. So instead of looking at people as being hard to reach or underperforming and everything, look at what their potential are. And if there are any, for example, research projects or research initiatives within universities, encourage them to do that, right? Encourage them to be doing that, because that might change their perception of research. That might change the perceptions of their own abilities, and could contribute to sort of, getting them into these careers, not necessarily through academia, but it could be through somewhere else, but might change the perception of research. The other thing as well is just we just need to value what people are doing more, and as I say, broaden that idea of expertise, because and be more recognizant of the value of the pastoral care and those other soft skills, not soft skills, but things that people are doing, that investing their energies in. Because if you don't, first of all, people are going to get resentful, but these things are a form of soft power which can help to improve, the whole environment of a program or of the university and everything. So I think it's about recognizing the value of those things.
Thank you for talking to us. It was really a pleasure to hear your views. That rounds up our episode. So thank you for our listener. There will be other episodes in the series where we'll be talking to further presenters from Redress Conference. So we'll say goodbye, and goodbye from me. Thank you, and goodbye from Louise.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Research Culture Uncovered podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on our brand new episodes. And if you're enjoying the discussions, give us some love by dropping a 5-star rating and written review, as it helps other research culturists find us. And please share with a friend and show them how to subscribe. Email us at academicdev@leeds.ac.uk. Thanks for listening, and here's to you and your research culture.